All right, everybody. Just in a few minutes, we're going to go live. Welcome. Let's see if it's happening. Let's see. Yep. I'm going to leave. All right, so it's happening. Welcome, everybody. It's our live session. We'll start in just a minute. I think you guys should have the ability. Get out of here. Yep. Probably should have some music in it. Hey, Alexa, play some classroom music. Hey, Mike, what's happening? Welcome. All right, let's see. Alexa, stop. All right, here we go. Turn on my presentation. So we'll get started. This will be recorded. Uh-oh. All right, Mike, what's going on? I don't have anything going on. Haven't been doing these a lot, so we'll see how it goes. All right. I got to present my screen. I'm going to share my screen. On a good computer. All right. I'm going to share that tab. Welcome, everybody. I guess I should have put a better slide. There it is. Supercharge your Salesforce career. We're going to get started in 1 minute. I'm going to grab some water because my throat's going to need it. And I totally forgot to do that. So here we go. It's all part of the fun of live sessions. Let's see now where. Bring this over there. Bring that over here. And yeah, I know. Well, here we go. Hey, Trissa, welcome. We got Rick. All right, looking good. All right, everybody. Thanks. So I guess you can see let me give you a thumbs up. You can see my screen, Supercharge your Salesforce career. I know you can, but making sure you got it. Little interaction. My name is Dominic Karub. I'm very excited to be here today. I'm not going to talk a lot about me. You can ask me questions about me if you want. Let's see. Nice. The Punisher, right? Yeah. My buddy, Mike, Mark's here. That's right. This is in honor of Mark Fonseca, who happens to be here today. Who said, but the way you talk about it, man, you're the CRM Punisher. I'm like, well, let's see if I can earn that nomenclature. But today, look, I know a lot of you, there's been a lot of challenges as you entered in 2023, getting your Salesforce career up and running, getting it started, maybe upgrading it, whatever, right? Because Salesforce didn't do any of us any favors when they took 20,000 Salesforce employees and dumped them in the marketplace. Now, and a lot of those folks, as I found out, were, not low-level people. They cut big budgets. They cut big salaries, VPs, directors, senior directors. And so, a lot of highly skilled, a lot of very important people got into the marketplace. So you've got to supercharge in order to get your career moving, right? Superchargers are great for engines. You get your career moving. Hi, Andrea, Rick, good to see you. There's a couple strategies you can use to upgrade your resume, and then we'll talk about some options you'll have at the end. And of course, this is interactive. So you can use the chat. I don't think you can talk, but we could try it. We could just see. But let's get into it. I want to make sure that you get 5 really good strategies that I've curated that I also want to give you some pitfalls and some tips that you can action on immediately. Then I'm going to share with you a website that I believe is just going to be fantastic for your actual resume. But if you don't even have to, it's a paid resume service that I'll give you an opportunity to get from me. If you want to work with me in our program, I'll show you that's done too. So let's get to it. Let's talk about who you are in the chat. I know some of you guys, but like a couple questions, like where do you live or work? Are you working on your Salesforce Dream Job? And if you are, how long have you been working on it? Are you actually working as a Salesforce professional right now? And what's your next certification? If you don't have one, then whatever one you're working on first. And of course, what was your first or favorite concert? I'll tell you a little bit about me. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. Technically, I live in Tucker, Georgia. My mailing address is Stone Mountain, and my neighborhood's called Smoke Rise. So I've got, a three-way look at it. Now, I've been working on my Salesforce Dream Job for 24 years because my Salesforce Dream Job doesn't include just Salesforce. We'll talk about that more. And I am currently working as an independent consultant with my own company, Sales and Technology Consultants. And I've been doing that really for the past 4 or 5 years. Last year, I did take a break from getting new contracts, getting new projects to work on my certifications, to work on my resume, to work on my career, and also build out a training program. Because one of the things I discovered was that after 20 years of training, I did 4 years of consulting. And what I realized was, boy, I much prefer training. So I'm reorganizing myself and my company to train consultants. I don't mind doing the consulting work, but I love the training. And so for me to help you, this seems to be the best way to go about it. And this is one of many topics we'll be covering on LinkedIn and other places, plus in my program as well. My next certification is actually Omni Studio Consultant. And then I'm also going to get finally my Platform Developer 1. And my first concert was the Rolling Stones in New Orleans at the Superdome back in the 70s, back when, general admission was a thing. And I was on the floor and I got up to the stage minus one person. I was skinny enough to just sneak right through. It was 5'10", 110 pounds. I snuck right to the front. And it's still one of my favorite concerts to this day. Although one of my very favorite concerts was the time I first saw Widespread Panic, New Year's 2001. So that's my quick story. Put in the chat for you. What do we want to know? What do you want us to know about you? Also, let us know you're there and that you want to learn more, because it's going to be interactive to some degree. I mean, I'm going to talk, present, record it for other people. You guys still there? I think you are. Oh, good. I got a new message from Jamie. Awesome. Hi, Andrea. Can't post comments to some destination. Oh, awesome. Platform App Builder. Iron Maiden. Nice. Girl School, that must have been the opening band, I guess, Mike. Awesome. So are you working as a recruiter now, Mike? Or you're a project manager? I got it. So did they hire you to work for other projects, I reckon? Well, stay tuned to the end if you can. I've got some resources for you to help you get that next certification. Anybody else want to say a little bit about you? So we kind of know each other here. It's not, and this will be recorded and other people see it. So be mindful of that. I'm not here to. They have a recruiting app. Oh, interesting. I'd like to hear more about that. My brother-in-law just started Career Veterans Group, Veterans Career Group to help that. Hey, Ted, what's going on, buddy? Yeah, you do. Implement the app with their customers. Awesome. Very cool. All right. And, Mike, if, there'll be some chance. I'm not to say I'm the end all be all resume guy. I don't actually use a resume a whole lot. Most of my history has been as a contractor. Word of mouth has gotten me lots and lots of work over 24 years. But for me, as I started to work with people this year to help my brother-in-law launch his company, I found that there are a lot of challenges to getting your resume to look right. Now, there's a great, I'll share with you other resources as you go along. You can find a lot of cool things. Ultimately, I don't think that's the most important thing is the resume, but we'll talk about that as well, right? Because in order to have your resume work for you, it's still got to be a good resume. Anybody else want to put something in the chat? Fantastic. Let's talk about 5 ways that you can supercharge your resume, and it has less to do with the resume tool that you use, but more to do with how you live your life, right? So, So the 5 things I'm going to cover: executive image. Oh yeah. Well, good, Mark. I'm also. Oh, Matt. Hey, welcome, Matt. Nexus PD1, first time Pearl Jam 93. Awesome, Matt. And then Mark, of course, you also do customer service feedback for customers. You also get people dressed really well. I'll get some of my best suits from Mark back in the day. And yeah, your customers probably use Salesforce too. And we'll talk about these 5 ways that really build out your resume in a way that makes it more than just Salesforce, right? So of course you need Salesforce certifications. But like I got in trouble for saying at Salesforce when I was an instructor for those guys, what does a Salesforce demonstrate to the world? Yeah, absolutely, Mike. So a Salesforce certification demonstrates to the world that you're a D student. Now that's if you have one. And we'll talk more about certifications and what you can do with them. I think they're a part of the puzzle. As you can see, you need hands-on experience as well. You've got to keep your skills up. That's why certifications have, that's right, Andrea. Hickory, I know where Hickory's at. I've been there. Nice. The doobies. I can't remember Andrea. Let me know if it's Andrea or Andrea, because I don't know if you can tell me via chat. And I don't, you guys can talk, but I try to get names right. So just let me know if it's the Drea or the Andrea. Either way. But I played golf near Hickory in Hound Ears. I think that's close to you. But the importance of keeping your skills alive, continuing education, constant never-ending learning. You know, it's what I teach students when they're learning Salesforce as a salesperson, as an operator, as an administrator, whatever it happens to be, right? This is the epitome of learning as a career. Yeah, awesome. And then, you know, skills in adjacent technologies. Andy. All right, perfect. And then, of course, what you might not have thought about was how you demonstrate your leadership and collaboration skills to a future employer. So let's talk about that, because your dream job is not a thing you're going to attain by writing a great resume. It's going to be a thing that you grow into and learn from your jobs and projects and things that you do as you move along. But let's talk about each one of these, because it's going to be good training content, I believe, for my students. And what I'll tell you later about my ACE program, which incorporates, of course, the solution to a lot of these things, which I'm telling you now. So in case you leave, you can come back and check it out. So the reason that Salesforce certifications are so important is they're actually a way to show, they're a quantifiable way to show your expertise for the different aspects of Salesforce. And when you earn your Salesforce certifications, you make yourself more marketable, because it does provide a level of skill and knowledge verification. So if you haven't gotten your Salesforce administrator or platform app builder, those are 2 entry-level Salesforce certifications. You might think, well, I got my admin, I'm working on my platform. It seems like they're both entry-level. They're designed to be entered from different places. So the admin is when you're going from the business world to the back office of Salesforce, right? Learning how the back end setup menu actually works. Whereas the platform app builder course, as it's designed by Salesforce, was designed for those developers who've already been in back rooms to kind of meet humans, maybe not all the way out in the open, but close to the open. And, you know, but both are required to understand both the structure of Salesforce as the data and the people interact with the screens that you build, as well as the automation and the tools that build it out, right? So, and one of the things I recommend, especially now, while jobs are harder to find and fill, you know, instead of hanging on one certification, go ahead and go for that first 5 certifications. And we talk about it in our ACE program, because ACE, you got to have 5. Getting your first 5 certifications, here's what I'll recommend. Your admin, your platform app builder, your business analyst. And then 2 consulting certifications. I recommend Sales and Service Cloud. Those 5 certifications demonstrate that you understand how business works and how it works inside of Salesforce. All businesses have a sales and marketing component, all that leads to a customer service component, and the interactions and the users in between, connecting that to the business and the results. Those 5 certifications, admin, platform app builder, business analyst, sales and service cloud consultant, are what I would tell employers is a minimum requirement for any Salesforce professional that you're hiring. So, and certifications can be challenging for people, because some people, I got to tell you, are really good at getting certifications, but not good at doing the work. Honestly, I'm probably more in that camp than I am in the do the work without certification, be really good at it. I know a lot of people with a 0. I actually know a guy that had 1 certification, this admin, who worked better as an architect in the Fury group than anybody else that had multiple certifications. Definitely people who even had more certifications. But when you're studying for those certifications, a couple of things you need to also pay attention to is, what's the benefit of that certification to you getting or landing your dream job? Like, is it part of the requirements? But I got to tell you, most companies don't know really the requirements. They need to learn about certifications and what competencies that demonstrates. So be prepared to educate yourself and others how those skills map to the job behaviors, right? And then when you want more certifications, look, here's the thing. Admin warrior PAB. All right. Nice. I actually met either Rod Stewart or a Rod Stewart impersonator at a bar when I was bartending when I was in college. He looked like him. He sounded like him. He had a credit card that said Rod Stewart. I just couldn't believe that he was Rod Stewart in a bar all by himself. He'd been in more than once. So nice to see you here, Daniel. But here's the thing that's going to really help you in building that certification credibility in the workplace is put it on your calendar. It's really helpful to schedule your studying time. And if you can do it with others, that's even better. And I'm going to give you a superpower bonus trick. Teach it, each module, to someone else, and use Trailhead to do that, right? There are other certification prep courses. There's probably so many now. I kind of feel bad for even having my own, because there's so many great ones out there. I know Focus on 4, Stony Point has an annual pass that you can buy, which I resell, but I work with those guys as well. Salesforce has classes. They're really expensive. I think they're goodish, because I used to teach them for 8 years, but I don't. All right. Any questions? So about why certifications are important on your resume. I mean, it's sort of like you almost have to have a college degree nowadays to demonstrate that you're, worth looking at, but it's really a resume filter, right? So you don't want your resume to get filtered out of the pool of candidates that they have time to evaluate, so that those certifications really do help. Now, a couple of pitfalls people have, and by the way, for each one of these tips, I'm going to give you some pitfalls and a tip. A lot of people put an overemphasis on certifications at the expense of practical experience. Now, that's a catch-22, because you have to do a little bit of both. But just to have certifications and no experience, you're gonna weaken the credibility of your certifications. So certifications help your resume from being filtered of likely candidates, because that's all recruiters really have to work on, is what's on your resume. But real world experience will give your resume and your interview a higher priority. Another pitfall that people make is that they focus too narrowly on a specific certification without relevance to their own personal career goals. That is to say, let's say you go and you get all these developer certifications, but you don't really like it. Well, that's going to work against you in your performance, in your reviews, in your progression inside of a company or with others. So you really have to think first what kind of work you like to do. And if you're struggling with that, believe me, I understand. It is a challenge because in the Salesforce ecosystem, there's so many places and so many ways that you can work. Now, you might be on here called like a Mark Fonseca. Like, I like my buddy Dominic. I don't need to see, that kind of stuff. Maybe, you have a business and you work with other business owners. Why would you want to learn Salesforce stuff? Because Salesforce maps reality. It's a reality mapping tool as much as it is anything else. And with that reality mapping tool, you're learning to convert digital information to create a picture of the world as it exists now and potentially in the future, right? That's what data does for us. So for you to focus on a specific certification, you could be eliminating all the other inputs and outputs that are affected by that one feature benefit. Any questions, comments, put in the chat. Awesome. Now here's a tip. Start with the admin cert. I actually kind of gave you the tip, and I'll go on a little more. Then actually start with the admin and platform app builder because they overlap. Then business analyst, which doesn't overlap much at all. And if I could I made a chart of the first 5 certs, and there's not a lot of overlap in the trailheads that make up those certification preparations. So to me, it's a well-rounded. In the ACE program, we go over that so you can map and cover all of that information in your training. But the admin and the platform app builder lay the foundation to understand how Salesforce works. And you understand how Salesforce works, then you understand how business works, then you understand how people work. You can start blending those together to provide better, more effective, more elegant solutions, right? Not everything's just going to be the result of technical stuff. All right, here we go. Your hands-on experience, so critical. Practical, and here's what you learn from the practical experience, that nothing is like what they say on the test. Nothing is like what's in training, because Salesforce is the same for everybody that buys Salesforce until you open the box, until you launch it, until you start to customize it for your particular business, right? So your business is going to collect data that reflects its priorities, initiatives, values, structures, all of those things, processes. And so the value of practical experience is that you start to get exposed to how people achieve the results of running their business through a platform like Salesforce, but in all the different ways and all the different constraints and all the different apps and all the different configurations. So I've been personally part of over 200 implementations. Some of those I've led completely. Some of those I've just done the training. Some of those I've either done the training or led it completely or somewhere in between. And as a job seeker, when you demonstrate that you've used Salesforce in a multiple contexts, multiple companies, multiple situations, you're really demonstrating your flexibility, which, by the way, don't forget to remind your employer or job seeker, your ability to be flexible is more important than your ability to be skilled. That is, flexible with people, projects, positions, all that. Flexibility is the key to success. We can talk about that in one of my other classes. Because in theory, everything works the same, but in practice, it doesn't work like theory. So you'll also have really good discussion points and practical experience to ask better questions about the job market you're entering into. I know I got interviewed for a job to do a field service lightning, not called field service lightning, Salesforce field service training project. And they offered me a really low rate. And I'm like, well, why? And because I had so much experience doing it, and that one particularly, I was able to ask questions, which I was really kind of a jerk about it. When I didn't get the job, they went another, I'm okay with the job because it was paid a little lower than my ego could handle, even though my bank account would appreciate it. My ego Can't, right? Because they wanted an instructional designer, they wanted a change manager, and an instructor. Well, those are 3 positions. You're paying for less than what typically what a trainer would make. And they want somebody to do all of it. Good luck on that project. And it might work out. Probably won't. We'll talk about those kind of things later. But when you can discuss projects and the details, and you have knowledge of, whoa, wait a minute, you're asking me to do what? That's in the job, not in this, right? You have that practical knowledge where you can demonstrate with real examples from real customers. Now, whether they paid you or not is irrelevant. Now you can volunteer, you can freelance, which if you don't have a freelance account on Upwork or Fiverr, just get one. Charge $5 an hour. It doesn't matter. You're going to raise your rates as you go along. Plus, it's going to teach you good client skills. You're going to find where your gaps in communication are. Getting real world hands-on experience is probably the most important thing. The other thing that's going to happen when you get real world experience, you're going to meet people that are going to move. They're going to move from one company to another, one job to another, one skill to another, right? And so you're going to build your network, which is critical as you develop and grow into your dream job. Now, there is some pitfalls with that, right? One of the pitfalls that I've made, so I'm telling you this, is neglecting to clearly document and communicate the projects you've worked on, because documentation beats conversation, right? So potential employers need to understand the scope of the work that you used, the skills you used, the outcomes you achieved, those specifics. And if you don't document it, you may not like the results. It doesn't matter. You still have more documented results than other people. And then the other pitfall you might make is working on projects just to work on projects, which, by the way, is okay in the very, very beginning, but it's not going to supercharge your resume. What's going to supercharge your resume is for everything the employer wants, you've got some real world experience, certification, something to demonstrate that you understand what they're looking for. And you also know that they probably didn't put that correct in the job description. But that's where these real world experiences are going to help you in that regard, because you'll learn to ask better questions, and that'll set you apart from other candidates. Now, here's a tip. Start working on them as soon as possible. Now, in my ACE program, we really teach you how to prospect, how to engage, how to develop those, learning the sales. Look, if you think, well, I don't want to do sales, that's why I want to do Salesforce. Well, you're going to have to learn sales to live in this world that we live in. Whether you like that or not, I'm sorry. But the truth is, sales is not about just making a sale. Ted, if you're still on the line, you could probably chime in. Sales is a great sales trainer. He teaches the Sandler method. It's for professional sales. I probably should take that class, Ted, because my background in short sales cycle is not working in this world. But we'll come to that later and how you can participate. But, having a sales experience, whether you're good at it or not, is still going to drive you to have those good soft skills, which we'll talk about again. Remember, the 5th point is your leadership and your soft skills. But don't, not the other, if sales were to stop for 30 days, our entire global economy would quit. It would be broken. Just consumer purchases alone, contrary to what Amazon believes. Think about it. Amazon, I don't know how much do they do a year in revenue? Couple $100 billion, let's say over $100 billion. Well, our whole economy is based on several $1 trillion of revenue. So if the consumers only pull a small percentage of that, then, people aren't just going to buy. They have to be sold, because people can't take the time to learn everything as an expert. And you're becoming an expert in Salesforce. You're becoming an expert in solving business problems, which have a net return on investment for businesses. And if you don't know sales, you don't know how to communicate your value, because you never had to demonstrate your value. Does that make sense? So get to work. And then when you get on Fiverr for $5 an hour, After your first client, your first 5-star, double your rates, double your rates, double your rates, or add $5, whatever you feel comfortable with, until you feel comfortable asking 50 to $100 an hour, and then taking inquiries from people who are impressed by your reviews and your resume, but want a cheaper price because they don't understand value, right? So that's where you really understand why this is important in real world experience in this and others. Any comments? That's right. Mark's right. Now look, continuous education is clear. Salesforce forces you to do it by maintaining your certifications, but really it's a gimme, right? You take the trailhead, you pass it, your certification is still good. It was a gimme before the trailhead when it was $100 a year and you had to take the test until you passed. You still pass, right? You still pass, you still maintain your certification. But for you to keep your value, to understand what you're worth. Look, anybody that says that there's a pay disparity, or anybody thinks that there's a pay disparity because of gender, race, religion, and that's great, great. If you think that's happening to you, go ask for a raise today. And then have a conversation with the boss on why you're not getting 30% more. Let's say you want a 30% raise. Ask them for it. What do I have to do to demonstrate that I add the value that means you'll give me more money? That's why clients pay so much for you as an independent, because you can demonstrate the value. And continuing to learn both about what's going on in Salesforce, in technology, in business, in the economy, in human relations, in personal relations, continuing education keeps you on the edge, just like Salesforce upgrades 3 times a year with new releases. What are you planning on? What's your soft skills, technical skills, related skills, right? So Salesforce and technology is, I don't know if you've noticed, but it evolves faster now than it did 10 years ago, way faster than 30 years ago. You know, you could go to Salesforce events, Dreaming events. I'm launching militarydreaming.com. So if you're if you're a veteran or you know veterans and you want to just support veterans in their reintegration to civilian life, Military Dreaming is on a mission to help have Salesforce professionals support military families to make that transition. And we're going to provide lots of continuing education in that program as well. militarydreamin.com. But those events announce. I used to do the Consumer Electronics Show. I saw the 8K TV before that you could buy a 4K TV in the Best Buy, because it's always going to be the leading edge of what's in technology. Now, you're careful not to get hooked by that, because you still have practical technology that still works. And then, you've got lots of online resources as well. So make sure you make use of those like you're doing today. So I don't really need to tell you that much, but you guys are all here today because you're taking that initiative to do that. So I'm talking to people who already know these things. So if you got a tip that you want to put in there. So one of the pitfalls I said, like when you go to conferences, you can get overwhelmed by all the new things and think you have to master all of them. Don't master everything. Be aware of it. And when it shows up on your plate, you'll have some awareness and understanding so you can integrate the depth that you need when you need it. So avoid burnout. I know I do that to myself. That's why I put it up here as a pitfall. Now, I also make this mistake. That's why I put these pitfalls in, because I believe in being honest and relatable, and hopefully you can appreciate that. But sometimes we forget to apply what we learn that's new and really learn about the updates. I know I'm behind on some Salesforce updates because I've been working on some other stuff. But you need to, what we used to do, and I still do, I haven't done it in a couple of releases, but is go over the release presentation that Salesforce has and have a discussion at your company, have a discussion with your peers, have a discussion with people like, hey, who does this apply to? How does it apply? Where's the benefit? Is it really, as we say here in the South, is the juice worth the squeeze? Like, it's a great feature, but sometimes they just throw features in because, somebody's just filling up a PowerPoint. No, not for nothing. Sometimes things are really impactful. And sometimes things are really useful that nobody knows about because it just slipped under the radar. You become the mouthpiece for that. and build your own reputation as. I know people like the Dashboard Dojo guys. I mean, when I have a question about reports, I go to them. Why not? You could be the person that people go to for the thing that happens the most for you, but the least for them. Like formulas, which I hate. So if you know formulas really well, I've got money to give you for formula stuff. If you're not good at formulas, go find the people that'll take money and give you formulas in return, and you stop wasting time. The goal is to solve problems. You with me? And when you're getting, your resume should demonstrate that you can solve problems because you solved them. And you feel confident because of it. Here's a tip. So yes, subscribe to the Salesforce's official blog in the Trailblazer communities. There are Salesforce influencers. Maybe I'm one of them. Hopefully be. I know I've been a little lame in my social, but I don't like social that much. I'm trying. I'm doing a session. I think it's next week or 2 weeks. Trissa can tell me. Hold on. Forget where it's at now. I'm in the tab. But we're doing. I have another LinkedIn live session, which is more business related. I'm gonna do these at least on Wednesdays, if not more. But here's the thing, right? You're gonna see when it depends on the people you apply to, right? You'll see a lot of somebody puts out original content and then a lot of copycatters come out. That's totally fine because you'll get different spins on those things. But here's, one of the things that you could get lost in, you could lose your direction in your continuing education. You have to make sure that it's building on the vision that you have for your dream job. Okay, remember that. Okay, questions, comments, put them in the chat. Now, adjacent skills. Knowing Salesforce is great, but there are other skills you need to curate and knowledge that you need to demonstrate that you have that work with Salesforce. Salesforce isn't the only platform people are going to use to run their business. So maybe it's an app that you really like or you had to work with. Maybe it's something else. Maybe you're a project manager, right? Mike, if you're doing project management, then exploring, and Matt, if you're doing project manager stuff, then exploring Scrum and Agile and just PMI certifications. If I don't like doing that stuff, but it's because I'm ornery in that regard. But if you can integrate those skills, and if you use tools like, what's it called? They're even what are the tools that people you could go to, if you're applying for a job, go to a company's website and see what technologies they have plugged in just to their web. They'll give you some insight on what they're probably using in the company. And then you might go beef up your resume right before you apply for a job, maybe, right? I'm not saying become a professional resume, but you could learn things like JavaScript more deeply because that relies to Apex. You could learn SQL. You could take those skills and apply them because they're really close to Salesforce as well. Yeah. So if you're developing apps, that whole 2-week Scrum thingy is really good. So what you want to do though is you want to look to see, based on the job you're doing, what are other people? Go scroll some LinkedIn profiles. See what other people have that have their same kind of job listing that you think you want until job titles, job descriptions, resumes, they're all kind of fuzzy work, right? When it gets down to the real world, what is it going to work on? Thanks for your contribution, Mike. Yeah, thank you. Unknown LinkedIn user, Scrum is very common. And that is something people look for. I mean, there's a lot of emphasis placed on Agile. Now, those are things that we practice in our ACE program. Again, I'm pitching my program because right now it's really affordable. It's going to get really expensive later, but I'm pitching it like as a way to participate and start to get all of these things automatically. A couple of things is you might try to do too much, AKA I'm speaking from experience, right? You can't get certified in everything. Figure out one thing, that one function, and be really good at it, right? Figure out one thing that you can add value to a company. Matter of fact, you might be the only person that can add that value inside a company. That's strategically choosing to be invaluable. So when they're thinking about, oh, we heavily rely on Microsoft and Salesforce integrating, and Mark is the guy who knows that. If we got to let one of our admins go, better not let it be Mark, right? So learning to learn and learning to learn the things that are important that build your resume and build your position is critical. And then trying to learn a technology that really doesn't apply to what you do, or why you would use it. There's a lot of apps on the App Exchange that you can learn, but don't just get the most popular one, because what if your company doesn't use it or anything like it? So have it match the industry or match something else. And that's where specialty clouds come into play, but that's further down the line, and that's along the way and following that certification path. And if you have any other pitfalls, let me know that you might have seen. A tip is you might want to learn something like Slack, although I probably wouldn't. But maybe. I hear there's some trouble in Slackville, but okay, I'm okay at Slack. I don't love Slack. I don't love I don't like those kind of tools anyway. It doesn't feed my ADD in the right way. But again, maybe Tableau is where you want to go, or maybe OmniStudio, or if you're focused on customer service, really learn those features as an adjacent technology, even though it's part of Salesforce, something else in there. Now, what we do in ACE, the A and A certification is accreditation. So if you're not a partner, you can join my partnership and get those accreditations, take them with you when you leave. And, that demonstrates those other skills that only a partner, somebody who works as or with a partner, can demonstrate. And again, set yourself apart. Now, the last but not least is, of course, leadership and collaboration. So, a lot of people think leadership as the one in charge. If I could tell you how many times that the person in charge can't get what they want done, that I see from an outside perspective, it's incredible. Hey, thanks, Mark. The leadership is about getting stuff done. Okay. Whether you do it, whether you lead it, whether you get other people to do it. And it's really about communicating in a way that inspires others to do things they wouldn't do naturally, wouldn't do as a course of their day. Whatever that is, that's where your leadership skills, and you can use those skills at home, at work, in the community, with your friends, because it's about soft skills. And it's probably the most important soft skill that's missing in most implementations of Salesforce. But it's way more, as important, maybe not more, but as important as your technical skills as you want to progress up. Because really the truth is, unless you just want to be an individual contributor, that is, you only want to, hey, look, man, my dream job is to not have any employees. I get it. I understand. But it doesn't mean you can't work without working with other people. And say that again. It doesn't mean you can't work without working with other people. So leadership and collaboration. Now, look, Salesforce is built on the idea of collaboration. Salesforce, as I train it to people as they, I don't care about, I don't need this for my sales. Yeah, but you need it so your boss doesn't interrupt you. You need it so your sales manager doesn't have to stop and ask you what's going on, but rather they can ask you things like, hey, I noticed this deal's kind of stuck. Can anything I do to help you with it? Right? Learning the role of that, right? So, and then to demonstrate this on your resume, that makes you somebody that, whether you're an individual contributor role or not, they know you can work with others and get stuff done. And it also exposes you to other jobs, other people, other ways that things get done, makes you a better person. So, you might share an example of when you led a project team to implement a Salesforce feature, where you had to coordinate with various stakeholders, leading your team to a successful outcome, communicate with the developer. Hey, if your dream job is a tow truck driver, then Salesforce Field Service is probably your jam, right? Because where do trucks go? where they're dispatched. What do they do when they get there? What's on the work order and work order line items? It's all, when are they going to be there? Are they on their way? Yeah. I mean, I got a buddy of mine ran a tow truck. It's funny you say that, LinkedIn user, not telling me who you are, but it is 17 years. I couldn't get his company even consider taking a meeting because, most of them are dinosaurs. But yeah, I'm telling you, Salesforce applies to any job, whether it's your dream job to work as a Salesforce professional or not. But you could also, highlight instances where you collaborated with the non-technical team, the business users, like that business analyst skills that you're going to get in your 5 certs in our ACE program. Helping somebody who just needs help, right? Can you help me with this report? Really? I know more than you now. By the way, that's a clear indicator that you know more than the person. If someone asks you for help on a report, you know that you're the Salesforce god. So be godly-like and try to teach them how to do reports on their own, because every Salesforce user, I'm on my high horse, I'll get back in a second, should know how to do reports, dashboards, and list views, and never stop learning how to use those to make their job better and more productive. And I have a Salesforce productivity class that touches on and teaches this, that. So, but, leaders are communicators, because leaders only have 3 problems. And I've done leadership training for many, many, many years. I've been around the military since I was 7 years old, get considered the Cub Scouts and introductory. Cub Scout, Weeblo, Boy Scout, Explorer Scout, ROTC in high school, Marine Corps, Army. I was an officer in the Army. Like, I've owned my own companies. You need leadership. You need the qualities of a leader or qualities of a good person. Okay. So, but again, it shows you can collaborate, communicate, and influence the outcomes that are important to the business. A couple of pitfalls you might have heard me say is that assuming that it's about you being in charge, and it's not. Effective leadership starts with listening. If you read the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, one of the habits is to seek first to understand before being understood. And to be an influencer really has to be a listener. Empathy, facilitating teamwork, finding the strengths in others and leveraging those strengths, and then avoiding their weaknesses best you can. And if you don't practice your communication skills and your collaboration skills beyond chatter and Slack and the tools, you're going to create an emotional imbalance in your work, because that's what happens, right? And you're not going to like the job because you're not going to know how to deal with the people. And that's going to take away from your dream job status, right? It's going to diminish the value of, maybe you land that dream job, but if you can't communicate well, what good? Now you're going to blow it, right? So it's a key part of that successful collaboration. And I have a tip. Is find ways to volunteer. There's a great organization that was my actual first standalone Salesforce project called Hands-On Network. Points of Light had just bought them. They implemented 1-800-VOLUNTEER, volunteer.com, or one of those. And I came in and helped them with their Salesforce implementation back in 2008. But what I realized in that group, because I belong to groups where I get the chance to practice leadership a lot, is you want to find various places to practice leadership, both inside the ecosystem and out. It's one of the reasons I started Military Dreaming, is so we can actually take those veterans who have leadership skills and help develop the chapters that support locals transitioning back to civilian life and leverage those leadership skills. You could join those and be a part of that and learn different ways and different contexts, how things get done. There's a theory of leadership called situational leadership, which is really just leadership. It's sort of like saying gluten-free rice. Of course it's gluten-free. It's rice. But good marketers highlight distinction. So if you can highlight your distinction and you can take what you learn from a corporate leadership or vice versa, take on a small project, take on a mentoring role. If you just help that one person who doesn't know reports as well as you, that's leadership. You're causing action by communicating with another person, whether it's in an online community. We do that in our ACE program with our labs. We have working labs where you can get together, work, and discover, other ways to see the problem, which gives you other ways to solve the problem. And really, that's what it's about with leadership. It's about perspective. And it gives you great things to talk about. Well, I haven't done that in your company, but when I was over at, United Way, I was leading a volunteer project that did this. It had the same elements. You could even map it to Salesforce, what we did. You never touched Salesforce, but you can relate the reality to how it might show up in data, and you become a much more credible expert, not just a drone that they're going to have to fight to get to work. You know how annoying it is to fight people to do the job that they voluntarily took? I was doing a project with Kaiser Permanente. They were installing a nationwide phone system. And in the very first implementation up in DC, we discovered a glitch in our understanding of what people who applied for, interviewed, and got hired to work on the phone would do when their phone password locked out. We had a limit of 5 attempts, and then your phone locked out, and you had to get a supervisor to unlock your phone, right? Simple workflow, simple, secure. Like, hey, if somebody's messing up, we want to stop them from messing up. Well, the problem with that was a high percentage, and I mean more than 20%, not 50, but more than 20% of the people, I was running around unlocking phones because it took about 10 to 15 minutes to get to them before we figured it out. But they just sit there and wait because they didn't want to get on the phones for the job that I would have fired them all, but you just can't fire them all. But again, it gives you concrete examples. Notice I'm giving you concrete examples of how that applies in the real world and what you can do. That applies to validation rules. When they work, when they don't, when the boss wants it, but the people find a way to use it against the boss for trying to force them, Salesforce them to do stuff. That makes sense. So volunteering or creating, maybe you want to step up, be a military dreaming chapter. All right. Those are my 5 tips. And I want to show you a quick video, and I hope the sound, I don't know if it'll work. Let's see. Let me know if the sound comes through. If not, we're going to post this on a new landing page called ace.salesandtechnology.com, Trisha. But right now it doesn't live anywhere other than right here. I want your feedback on this quick, short 1.5-minute video. Let me know if you can hear it. Are you ready to skyrocket your Salesforce career and land your dream job? Discover the ACE program and unlock the key to success with our Inspire method. All right, question. Can y'all hear that? Can I get some feedback if y'all can hear it? Let's see. Whoops. I don't know if I have my StreamYard set up correctly. I didn't try it before. Anybody? All right, I'm going to let it play. We'll see how it goes. Craft a powerful personal brand that sets you apart. We'll help you optimize your personal online profiles and portfolio, and even review your professional photographs. Connect with prospects, experts, and peers by upgrading your LinkedIn, Twitter, and Trailblazer profiles. Build a network that opens doors to endless opportunities, positions you head and shoulders above the rest. Master the technical and interpersonal skills you need to excel in your Salesforce career. Join our weekly live lab sessions to discover, learn, and teach alongside other ambitious professionals just like you. Secure your future income with our expert guidance on developing 3 Dream 100 lists on LinkedIn. Find and apply for the most relevant Salesforce jobs, propel you and others towards success. Ace every interview with confidence. Receive training and coaching from our recruiters, HR professionals, and Salesforce partners to present your best self and stand out. Imagine having the world rave about the quality of work you provide. Our program helps you build a stellar reputation with coaching and training that ensures glowing 5-star reviews. Gain real-world experience by working with actual customers in our customer labs. Solve real problems and collaborate with your peers to deliver the best solutions possible. Don't miss out on the opportunity to transform your Salesforce career. Space in the ACE program is limited, so take a step towards your dream job by visiting our website and enrolling in the ACE program today. Your success is just a click away. So for now, until that's if you just go to you can apply at jobs.salesandtechnology.com. That's totally cool. And we will be happy to do it. Now, here's the last part. So first of all, I'd like to know if you got some value out of today. Should I keep this recording, take it down? You know, did it work? Did you find a tip? Did you find something today that you could use? And if you did, are you going to use it? So here's what I'd like you to do. Are you ready to skyrocket? There we go. So what's next for you? So if you're working on a certification, I've got 15, Trissa, you might be able to tell me. I think we got like 14 to 18 study guides already prepared for your next certification. We've got practice tests on about 9 certifications right now that we've taken, and we're going to work together in the student labs. How'd you get my parents? There you go. Unknown LinkedIn user. And we got practice tests. I do training classes. We do coaching sessions. So text me what's next for you and let me know how I can support you in finding your job. Is there anything, this is almost an hour. I wanted to make it about an hour. The ACE program right now does not have a price attached to it. So that means if you join now, Jamie's in it. She knows I'm not doing much because I'm not charging much. But, you know, that's I would consider this to be about a $3,000 program. So if I ask you for $100, don't whine. Or whine. It just, you know, it's going to be moving toward that in eventually. But let me know what you got. Well, let me know what it is that you are working on next. And if it's not, like, you know, I know, Mark, you're not a Salesforce guy, but maybe you want to talk to a customer who wants to upskill or elevate their employees. So just put in elevate. You know, they want one of their employees that uses Salesforce to get in this program, something like that. But let me know. And I hope this was valuable to you guys. Does anybody have any questions, comments? That's my only question. And I had a really pretty PowerPoint, right? Thanks, Jamie. Jamie's in the self-guided version of the program right now. Just working on it, doing a great job. Thank you, Patrick. I see Patrick just texted. Let's see if you put in something schmarky. Oh, nice. That makes total sense. That is why the video looked like you, right? I said make it, give him glasses, make it look like Patrick. Anyway, it's I want to prepare you for your next dream job. And if I listen, right now I'm not charging for it because if I can get you hired on a contract, then a lot of recruiting companies will staffing agents will pay me. So you know, that's always good. Any other questions or comments? Can you put the link in the comments? Sure. So right now, the only way to get in is I'm going to put the real link. I'll put in there H. We're about to rework that. Jobs are going to be just applications, but ACE is going to look very similar. Like it's kind of a convoluted right now. But if you go to, you get it, Andy. So if you go there to that link, just apply. Throw up whatever resume you got. Always want a before and after. And look, my goal is to get you help you get your dream job. And when you know the market, now's a perfect time to study, to reach out, to learn how to build your network, to build your brand. Yeah, you got to build a brand. I know. What? Yeah. Why? Because you got to get known. Nothing. I work for iHeart Radio, and there was one of the ad reps said, having a business without advertising is like doing sign language in the dark. Nobody knows you're there, and they don't understand a word you're saying. So I thought that was a good thing, right? So getting out there, presenting yourself, even if you just want a nice salary job, which is really commission on an installment plan. You don't want to be independent. I get it. But to get to that, you got to do what most people won't do. And most people won't put a rigorous schedule together. They won't commit with a partner. They won't travel the rails that are required to get to where the train's going to end up. You're welcome, Andy. So I appreciate this time that I get to spend with you guys. Come visit my website, salesandtechnology.com. My YouTube channel is Salesforce Zen. Oh, good job. We've got, we're going to do one for business owners, from crisis to control, how you can revolutionize your sales traction. That is going to be next Wednesday. And that is all about leveraging Salesforce so that you've got the visibility on the perspective on what you need to do. So we'd love to have you come to that. I appreciate you guys showing up. I didn't promote this very much, so having anybody here has been phenomenal. That's it. That's what I really love. Thanks you guys. Anything else? Anybody have anything you want to say? Put it in the chat, because you guys can't talk. But in our labs, we do it on Zoom, and you can talk, you can ask questions. I can mute you if you're annoying. No, it's all good. But I do have a lot of our live sessions that we did on our YouTube channel, Salesforce Zen, not Ben, Z with a Z, EN.com. Goes right to my YouTube channel. And again, this is really an informal announcement that I'm redesigning my company from a Salesforce partner alone. Really, I just want to train people to be consultants. So thank you, Manu. Appreciate you being here. Thank you, Andy, for being here. Thanks, Jamie. It's great to see you again. Hope things are going well. We haven't talked in a while. Put something on my calendar at superuseracademy.com or salesandtechnology.com. Mark, thanks for being here. Mike, really great. Daniel, appreciate you showing up. And I think there was Matt. Thanks, Matt. And Ted. Oh, my buddy Ted. You and I are due for a face-to-face, buddy. And Rick, I've seen you too much already. So no, it's all good. But thanks for being here and for letting me help you as much as I can. But really, I'll tell you the doggone truth. Most of it's going to come from you. Your results are going to be sourced by you. But doing it alone is not going to help. Thank you, Jamie. Yeah, I think there's a little delay on the chat. Maybe that's what it is. So thanks again, everybody. I really appreciate your time. Now go take what I talked today and like, comment, share, and do something with it. Do something from that and text me what's next for you. And I will send you the study guide for the next exam you're taking and give you a great deal on the practice test. So if you're ready, go do it. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Andy.